Good afternoon, my friends. This is the Grim Flayer. Hope you're doing very well today, and welcome to another Modern Donation League. This one is with Jund Shadow. Been playing that archetype a little bit more these days. I'll be doing it again soon, and I have to say that even though I'm not still quite as comfortable on it as I am with BGX, it is a very, very fun archetype. I am very fond of it. Really looking forward to playing it here today. It's also a very powerful one, currently second in the meta per Goldfish, and good proactive, but still black-based and interactive deck to take on the brave new world of Strixhaven, post-Strixhaven Modern. I'm here just shortly after MTGO came off of maintenance, so I don't know quite whether or not anybody will have Strixhaven cards to speak of, but certainly people will be doing all kinds of stuff. We're going to be prepared, hopefully, for just about everything. So, a couple real quick notes. First one as it regards the quality of the content. This is my first ever league with a new computer. That's huge news for me. My old one was not fit for the task. This one is already a dream to use, but I don't have speakers yet. So I don't exactly know how my sound is going to be. The only way I can hear myself back after having listened to a recording or two is with very low-end headphones. So you guys let me know. We'll get it fixed when I get my speakers, but in the meantime, I can also get it fixed based on your feedback. So I did think I had to turn the gain down a lot. That might be the biggest difference from how my old setup was. You guys let me know how it sounds, right? I will be receptive and grateful, receptive to and grateful for your feedback. The new computer is definitely sweet though, because we can do more co-plays, we can do streams on the Discord. I think it's going to be a game changer. In general, it's a faster, reliable, more responsive machine than I've ever played MTGO with before. The other thing is, forgive me if I'm a little bit slow here playing, just because my keyboard is smaller and my screen is bigger than I'm used to, so might not be quite as deft as I once was, but that will come with time. We also have to say thank you very much to Jonathan Poirier-Monette, who is the league donor here, the sponsor, if you will, of the league. We'll get into Jonathan's list momentarily. Thank you first to MTG Daniel 1337 for the big return as an Inquisitor. I think he was here under a different name previously. Daniel, welcome back to Patreon. Appreciate you, my friend. And big shout out to Michael and to Mr. Stephen Mirabito. Two good friends, two Patreons, and in tandem, just about, within minutes of each other, they both massively upgraded their level of support. They were conferring about this, and I do approve. Thank you once again, guys. Mirabito, a moderator as well, going from Confidant to Of the Veil, and Michael going from Inquisitor to Tireless. Thank you so much again, guys. And they are also both Shadow players, so to the broader audience, if you want more Shadow content, they're both very good players. They're both going to play more as the new meta unfolds, and they already have a wealth of content for you to check out. I will link both of their stuff in the description below. So thank you once again, guys. And let's talk about Jonathan's list. So basically, you guys mostly know what Jund Shadow does, right? We got really efficient beaters, 16 of them, green giving us access to Tarmogoyf, and also to Hexdrinker, right? But Hexdrinker is not in our list. We'll talk about that in a second. But the general idea is you interact very heavily. You leverage your own painful land base, which is kind of a necessity of playing any style black-based Thoughtseize deck, into an advantage. And if all that wasn't enough, you get Lurrus as a pretty much free roll, grindy companion. You do love that second wave of attack against interactive decks. And we definitely have to mention the absence of Hexdrinker. So a big reason to play Jund in the first place is to play Tarmogoyf. We are doing that here. There's a lot of Auric Champion in the meta. Tarmogoyf in general, just a great beater, but especially when Auric Champion is everywhere. You gotta have some green cards to get over the line a lot of the time against her. Hexdrinker, again, just a great card. Another green card diversifying our colors in the face of something hating out our two primary colors. But Swifty is kind of the more stock way to do it, or at least it used to be. I think by now most people are actually converting over to Hexdrinker for some of the reasons we just mentioned. Hexy also a very unique threat, but Jonathan says that he is not as into Hexdrinker as many others are. Doesn't see himself wanting to play it into Lava Dart, into Flicker Wisp, into Skyclave Apparition, and that is where Swifty comes in. She's more resilient to all of those things. She feels worse to use removal on because she'll have chipped in for a little damage first, and I will also add, she can enable turn 2 Scourge of the Skyclaves. You're doing something proactive, you're also making your other cards better, whereas Hexdrinker is more of like, this is another threat that can end the game on its own. Totally fine, again. Maybe optimal to play it. I think most people are playing it right now. I still think playing Swifty is totally fine. And hey, we're entering into a pretty unknown meta right now, so why not do the more proactive, the more racing-oriented thing, right? And that's kind of what we've decided to do. Other than that, there shouldn't really be any surprises here in terms of what you're seeing. The only surprise is that my delivery hasn't come in yet that I ordered before I started recording this. Maybe it'll come in before we finish the intro here. For my old bordered TBRs. If not, I'm out of time. I'm just going to have to start without them. That'll be a shame. But we got a really nice looking deck with or without those. We've got one each of Kroxa, main and side. Definitely worth pointing that out. That's not necessarily stock. But one of the changes I suggested that Jonathan agreed to is we include the 20th land. Partially that's a nod to Kroxa, partially that's a nod to just wanting to make a land drop or two every game at least, and partially it's because there's only one peatland, so I regarded the second one as very, very useful in many different ways, and Jonathan took me up on that. The other change I suggested, we had a couple cards I wasn't that thrilled about in the sideboard. There are a couple Collective Brutality. There is also another Kolaghan's Command, a card that I love, but I was looking at the whole thing thinking our curve was maybe a little bit too high, especially on only 19 lands to begin with. So we cut the Cobras, we moved away from a second K command. Stuff we've brought in were Assassin's Trophies and Nihil Spellbombs. These were not here before. I suggested those. I believe I also suggested Veil of Summer, but we've opted for more proactive things. Otherwise, it's a lot of the stuff you're used to seeing. We've got for each of all the staples, Bauble, Push, Thoughtseize, Bolt, for each of all of our main threats, 2 Dismember, 2 TBR, and a single Seal of Fire along the single Kroxa as kind of our main deck flex slots, but Seal, of course, very good along the plan. Recurable, Lurrus target, grows the Goyf, all that good stuff. In the sideboard, we've got some more recurable Lurrus targets, specifically Nihil Spellbomb. Alpine Moon can also be bought back realistically before it is too late if they remove it. Some of the time against big mana, in general, it will trigger Swifty and be a nice low curve thing that we can do to disrupt decks trying to go over the top of us. We've got the full, not the full 4, but 3 Kozilek's Return. Fully 3 Kozilek's Return. Very much a nod to Auric Champion and other go-wide cards or strategies. We're down to 1K command from the aforementioned 2. We've got that one Kroxa. We've got a Pithing Needle. Pithing Needle is going to be good against Heliod, good against many things as just a one of. Probably wouldn't play more than one here, but I can get behind the one. And with the aforementioned trophies as well as 2 copies of Deglamer. Been playing Deglamer a lot lately. So, thank you very much, Jonathan, for your list and for your ongoing support, my friend. Thank you to the other patrons we just mentioned as well, and let's play a little bit of Jund Shadow, see if we can run into any new Strixhaven cards on the other side of the table. Well, we're kicking things off with a Lurrus Mirror I'm going to keep. We've got what I hope will be 4 removal spells that are relevant. If they're playing Lurrus, that is a fair assumption. We've only got 1 threat of our own, but we're on the draw. We're going to see a lot of cards. We are going to have a redraw with Bauble. OP on a Grim Lavamancer into Mishra's Bauble, so looks like it's probably a more currently stock version of our deck that we're playing, right? I've seen Grim Lavaman alongside Hexdrinker. With Hexy, they're not as dependent on the graveyard. I guess that kind of makes sense. So we're in for a mirror match right away. I should mention, okay, we've got Mountain. Very interesting. Very interesting. So it might be worth just going Mountain Bolt pass, play Bauble too, obviously. But that way, if they're sitting on a Scourge as their only other proactive play, they don't get to play it. I think that alone makes that worth doing. And we might as well do it now before they can, potentially ping us or something, right? I know we have a Scourge, so in a way that's a little unintuitive, but I think being on the draw, this makes the most sense. Okay, they're about to draw a Hex Drinker. We've got another out to that. It's going to feel good to be able to use our bolts as kill spells, I think, and save Dismembers for stuff that bolt maybe can't kill. Of course, Fatal Push is the universal catch-all in this matchup, right? Opponent can Inquisition us, and then if they want to play a Hex Drinker, force a removal spell out of us, they certainly can, but they're going to at least take a threat. And yeah, then they're going to play the 1-for-1 game, and being on the play, they can put Lurrus into hand first. You know, I think that makes a lot of sense. Just a couple lands off the top. Not the greatest. I think it's as likely as anything that OP simply moves to attacks, and then after we bolt the Hexy, they will put Lurrus into hand. Unless they don't have the third land. Alright, Inquisition. So I think I'm just bolting here, just on the off chance they can go land Scourge, basically. We're just going to keep kind of playing around that. So these discard spells coming at really good times for our opponent. They do have the third land. But at least we are, you know, in a way maybe kind of forcing the discard spells out early. I don't know if that's an accurate way to look at it, but you understand the point. Oh, this is rough. Goyf is a 4/5 and there's not even a land in the yard. Yep, fair enough. Okay. Yikes, all we're doing is drawing those lands. Alright, so despite opening on 4 kill spells, basically, we find ourselves unable to answer the opposing threat. So we're going to have to try to outgrind them with Lurrus here. Again, opponent on the play, they're going to have the luxury of doing something very similar. But we'll at least be the first ones getting value, it seems, unless they have a third discard spell lined up. That'd be a little bit rough, right? And so far, I don't feel punished at all for, you know, being very careful with my life total. I think that's proven to be correct. In the face of these respective progressions here. OP got a Scourge as well, huh? So they know that can die to Dismember unless they've got, like, a way to lose life at instant speed themselves. I think they know that we have the 4th land. That might not be quite correct. Well, just another land, eh? Just another land. So one consideration here is that if we do Dismember the Scourge, it's going to turn on Fatal Push. That could be their last card very easily. But we do just kind of have to Dismember the Scourge, right? But it might be slightly more optimal to do it on the opponent's turn, just to make their mana a little bit worse. Like maybe they can't push us end step and then put Lurrus into hand. But yeah, our draw is doing us no favors here, really. We just have to hope that Lurrus goes unchecked, and that'll be good enough. Yeah, we're going to pass to OP here. I really hope they don't have Fatal Push, but at least we'll make it less effective if they do. Oh, opponent's a fan of the channel. By the way, are you recording right now? And I say, yep, sure am. Oh, they're about to draw Lightning Bolt. Okay. So I don't think I mean, if they can bolt themselves in response here, we'll get completely blown out. But that's definitely not my read based on how the sequencing has gone. And to be fair, though, we did just open ourselves up to that, right? So let's hope they don't have exactly Lightning Bolt. But the presence of Bolt is a disaster because now we have to chump block with Lurrus. I mean, either way, we needed to kind of fade the top deck, right? And if they did have Fatal Push after all, we just lose because now Push is live again and they'll Bolt us for the win. But either way, we were in a rough spot. So there's the Bolt. They don't even give us the chance to chump block, which is the correct play from OP. Because we don't get the lifelink that way. And they know that we know about Bolt, so there's no reason to try to sneak a win this turn, right? So if we can draw anything besides a land, we'll have a shot. But the first one's a bit of a dud, Seal of Fire. The second one, Nurturing Peatland. Okay. Will Peatland yield much of anything for us? Let's find out. Temur Battle Rage. Absolutely wrecked. Well, major wrong half of the deck, plus flooding issue, right? Not much hope there for us, and I do fear that OP has Veils of Summer to kind of break this mirror in half. I know that at least some decks do. We've got some good stuff to do. We've got 2 Spellbomb, Kroxa, number 2, K Command, and a double trophy kind of package to reach for. I think TBR has got to be the first cut here. We saw how bad it was there. Seal of Fire is going to be a mixed bag here. I think it's probably going to end up being worse than most things. Sort by mana value, it says now. How is that new with this update? I hate it. I hate it. Alright, I think Thoughtseize is a Seal of Fires. Yeah, something like this. Lightning Bolt is still going to do some of the work that Thoughtseize could do. In a way, and we're going to have plenty of targets, plenty of utility. It's like a utility spell in this matchup, right? So we got one more cut to make. Do we just go down to 3 discard spells? I think on the play, that's probably fine. I'm not sure whether we should be 2-1 IOK Thoughtseize or the reverse. Because we still do need to lower our own life total to some degree, but I think we're going to err on the side of Inquisitions here. See how it goes. OP says there is a line they could have sequenced better. Yeah, maybe. I think that's probably correct for almost literally any Shadow game, right? I always feel like I'm doing something wrong when I'm when I'm playing this deck. Opponent's asking when the league will drop. Well, I'm going to get it recorded right now and then upload it as soon as I can because it's been a little while since I've done so. Since I've uploaded a league, that is. We will keep a bit of a weird hand. I think definitely a keeper, though. I guess it's just a little bit weird because... Yeah, OP full of questions. One last question, let's focus on the game. Round 1, you? It's just a little odd, right, that we can't do any kind of scrying with our baubles here, but OP also on their first round. Good to know. Good to know. Since we can't scry with our own baubles, I know we make their discard a little bit better, but we might take discard if they have only one copy anyway, so let's bauble for more info right now. They're about to draw a Hex Drinker. Got it. And we see Fatal Push, Mishra's Bauble, Scourge of the Skyclaves. Pretty clear take of the threat, if you ask me. We can push, or we can Inquisition their push at basically any point we so desire for now. We've drawn a Shadow. Definitely not bad to just find a threat. So interestingly, opponent did not choose to bauble themselves. Although they could have there, because unlike us, they have multiple fetch lands in hand. Let me just make sure I track correctly. They had 2 Catacombs, that's right. Alright, they're about to draw a Goyf, yikes. See what we can muster here. OP will know about our first draw, which is a Lightning Bolt. That's a good one. And a Swifty. Beautiful. Now we get to use Swifty as push bait, basically. I'm totally fine with that. Make them choose between pushing and playing Goyf. Couple nice finds, you have to say, and a bit of a showcase of the power of Monastery Swiftspear right here. Not like game-endingly powerful, but a nice little sequence there, making our already good draw of Bolt even better. So OP with 1 unknown in hand at the moment. Looks like they're just jamming Goyfy. Sure. If we draw like a fetch land here, we'll get to... we still can't triple spell because we have a Stomping Ground rather than a black land, so... Mishra's Bauble. Sure, I accept. Yeah, Stomping Ground, real awkward here. But I think we're just going to answer Goyf. Keep on keeping on with the Swifty. They're about to draw a Shadow. That does kind of punish us for our all of our sequencing, frankly. That's a rough one to see. That is a rough one to see. I should be representing Veil of Summer here because that's something we could definitely have. But unfortunately we don't. Yeah, I think that draw of Shadow for OP in combination with us, missing the 3rd land and also having to single spell on top of that, I think that kind of just flipped this game on its head in a pretty major way. Yeah, this is scary times right now. We draw Fatal Push. Good. We draw another Fatal Push. Even gooder. Yeah. Man, if only the Stomping Ground was any other land in our deck besides Mountain, we'd be in great shape. But let's not complain too much about having double Fatal Push here. Opponent will now probably push our Swifty, who has done a lot of work. And it does really look like we've got Veil of Summer, doesn't it? Imagine how good that would be. We do not. We'll see the Swifty later. And now, if the opponent feels obligated to pivot into the Lurrus grindy plan, we'll get to Inquisition it away. Again, at the cost of just repeatedly having to single spell. That's our major downfall right now. All right. Lurrus into hand. Not holding up Veil. Maybe just holding up a Lightning Bolt or something. Another Fatal Push, but either way, Cat's going to go down. We're going to draw a Peatland. Nice. Real nice. So clearly have to Inquisition here. It's not even clear whether we or not we should have Peatland. Yeah, it's Lightning Bolt, sure. All right, down goes Lurrus. We can always just tap Peatland on the opponent's end step to gain life if that's what we want to do. I guess it gives us the most tactical flexibility to leave Peatland up to try to crack it, but with Lurrus waiting in the wings and with us having only a single black otherwise, we're probably not supposed to crack it, right? Yeah, I think I'm going to take a point of damage here. I don't know if I've ever even done that before with Shadow. Kind of cool. Alright, so OP's got Bolt, one unknown, Mishra's Bauble. Yeah. I think I'm going to Bauble them and then probably just go Lurrus into hand pass. Yeah, I'm going to do it main phase, because it's not like we don't have a handful of good discard targets anyway. They're about to draw Death Shadow, sure. We draw a Goyf. Alright, we're finding some nice threats. No question about that. Hope you're going to run out that Shadow. Yep. It's definitely not unreasonable to just, like, want to push this thing and play a Goyf. Kroxa's not bad either. Kroxa could actually be really good. Tarmogoyf could also just be really good too, right? I think we're going to Kroxa now. It plays a little bit better around Veil of Summer. We are playing just like a little bit scared this way, but I want the knowledge that this will give me, and it is a good one-for-one trade, and if we draw a fourth land next turn, then it gives us just another great thing to do. Okay, OP gonna bolt us. Right, so Kroxa kind of oh, they have double bolt. Got it. We have good old Fatal Push. So yeah, Kroxa forcing the issue in a way that is acceptable to me. Opponent now down to 4, but we're down to 6. They've gone through more bolts than we have. They also don't have Swifty in the deck, though, so... plus we have just a handful of gas. They're playing completely off the top. We're in a very good spot. They draw Mishra's Bauble. Sure. So I think we're just supposed to play Goyf and Shadow and say, can you find 2 fatal pushes or 2 hard kill spells otherwise, right? Verdant Catacombs. So now escaping Kroxa is definitely a thing. Puts them to 1. I think it's still better to just play 2 threats, though. We can then, attack next turn and kill them with Kroxa's trigger, right? Assuming they have to spend their spells to stay alive, that is. Alright, OP. Did you draw 2 doozies, or is it game 3? Nurturing Peatland was one of them. That could still be 2 doozies. Game 3. Alright. Nice. Nice. On the draw, we could bring back a Thoughtseize. Is there anything that we... GG, well played to you, OP. Is there anything that we like a little bit less on the draw? Maybe like a Swifty. Still probably just better to be more threat dense. I'm going to run it back. Well, quite the game here. Quite the match. Oh, ugh. Hopefully opponent mulls. Because our hand is probably keepable, but it's so one-dimensional. All we have are 2-drop threats. I mean, we let the opponent dictate the tempo of the game here, but mulling's pretty bad. These are some really powerful cards. I'm going to keep it. But I kind of hate it. Just like I'm feeling priced into keeping it. I don't want a mulligan, basically. And you do want threat density. We got that. You know we got that. OP with a Spellbomb, sure. And a Bauble. Once again, not bobbling themselves. Maybe they don't have the ability to do so, though. We draw Swifty. Alright, that just keeps us on plan, I guess. So why not? This hand could get there. It really, unironically, could. Normally, I'd say it's a slam dunk to lead on Goyf rather than Scourge. It's usually bigger earlier. Scourge has a higher ceiling, but with a Nihil Spellbomb around, granted our graveyard is empty right now, but still, we can just make a 4/4 Scourge right away. 5/5 if Swifty connects first. Opponent with no threat, no main phase play. They're going to push on our turn. Fair enough. Draw another Swifty, huh? Still don't know exactly which one is better to play here. Goyf is that slighter bit bigger right now, so I guess I'll err on the side of Goyf. They also, because they have made one play, they cannot this turn Spellbomb and remove it, right? They can still just like dismember it or push it or whatever, but that's obviously true of Scourge there too. An opponent did not they did not use their second mana, so that is interesting. That is very interesting. perhaps some crucial tempo has been gained. We're going to fetch a basic here. And we're going to see a Scourge of the Skyclaves into a Hexy. Alright, opponent with a lot of threats too, sadly for us. That'd be a great time to draw a little interaction, wouldn't you say? Kill spell, Fatal Push, Trophy. Yeah, okay. Trophy I'll take, right? Trophy I will take. Well, maybe they have their other basic in hand. That'd be amazing, but pretty unlikely, right? The trophy's downside is going to be real here. We might turn on a kill spell, or we might simply allow them to Spellbomb, like if they have a second swamp to get, but we're going to go Swifty into kill spell and keep aggroing, and hopefully our Scourges will follow up as a second wave, getting us over the line. Even if they have nothing else to do right now off of the trophy, they've got a Peatland around. It's just the downside's real. Downside's so real right now. We're almost giving them back the tempo that they lost earlier, right? But we got lots of threats. We'll see if we can get there. Opponents at 8. And deploys a fetch land, so obviously there's a lot of sequencing decisions that are likely to be involved here. Nihil Spellbomb as a cantrip is definitely one of them. They're going to put levels on Hex Drinker, huh? That's fascinating. It does protect it from most of our removal. And they've got a trophy too. Alright. Our tempo has been restored to us, I guess. Please attack. Please attack. No attack. Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah, I didn't think so. Didn't think so. We draw land. It's actually pretty darn good because it allows us to pressure them in two different ways. We get to make a big Scourge and put Lurrus into hand. Alternatively, we could forget about Lurrus and just put 2 Scourges onto the field and assume that that is going to be sufficient to kill them next turn. No matter how many levels are on Hex Drinker, right? Yeah, I don't actually know what to do here, to be perfectly honest. If opponent has another land, they can go land Lurrus into hand, Lurrus, buy back a Bauble. That would kind of suck. But then Scourge attacks are good. Yeah, I really don't know. So I'm just going to do a proactive thing here and play a couple of Scourges out. And hopefully we'll kill them next turn, right? Also going to represent the Veil of Summer that I don't have. The mid-range player in me really, really wanted to put Lurrus into hand there, but again, their Spellbomb complicates things so much. If things are not otherwise going their way, they're going to crack Spellbomb anyway, and there go our immediate Lurrus buyback targets, right? So let's just make 7/7s instead. And I did shock there, mostly not to represent Veil, right? Mostly to, of course, grow my Scourges. Okay, Inquisition's going to beat our Goyf. Once again, if we did have a Veil, we would have had great windows for it this game. It's not to be. So OP with 2 cards in hand. They're only holding up 1 Fatal Push, though. Notably, Stomping Ground is pretty bad in a couple different spots. Alright, they go on the Spellbomb Dig. And I think we probably got them, my friends, but we'll see if they come up with anything else. Opponent says GG's. Typing on my new keyboard is hard. And that's the game. Shout out to you, Deceiver. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you for a wonderful match. And yeah, Scourge of the Skyclaves OP, the proactive play, winning out over the more value-oriented mid-range brain from which I suffer. So, hey, first match of the league, first match of the new season, and it's a mirror, and we do get there. Close one, good one, and let's go to round 2. Everybody feeling so nice and optimistic. Second good luck in the chat in a row. Opponent on the play, not a mirror match, notably, and a very balanced hand I will keep. If our removal doesn't line up, then it doesn't look so balanced, but hopefully it will. We're against a snow-covered island sleight-of-hand deck, though, so I guess it's not going to, most likely. Could always be like a Delver Xerox deck, but you don't find that very often these days, or perhaps ever in Modern. So I'm going to Bauble myself, looking for a discard spell, basically. Another Bauble, do we want to draw that? Is that better than a blind draw? Hard to say. I'll take it. And I think I'm just going to go upstairs with this bolt and try to get my beat down on with Goyf. Lonely Sandbar. Not sure if I should really know what we're up against based on this, but I don't. All right, 17 all. Another Bauble. All right, so let's at least lead on one. They're about to draw Ideas Unbound. Is this... discard 3 cards? Is this Twiddle Storm? It might be. Yeah, we really need discard, obviously. We don't have that. So we just have to play a threat, right? So Goyf is a 4/5, obviously bigger right now. The first hit of Scourge will do 3. I have to assume they won't hurt themselves anymore. But if they do, then Scourge could be better. Obviously, Scourge snowballs a bit more as well. I'm going to play for a slightly higher upside here with Scourge. It might not be strictly correct. It might not matter in the least, but we are also, remember, going to see 2 cards, right? So maybe we could draw like a Lightning Bolt plus a land to advance our clock even more. There's our Thoughtseize. It might be a little bit too late, right? We haven't disrupted them. It's turn 3. They kept 7. They've got Lotus Field. I'm going to Bauble them right now so I can 8 through the turn, reach through mists. All right, let's see how hard they go off right now. Hope you guys don't mind that I'm muted here, taking the chance to drink a little coffee and actually respond to a message or two, because there's nothing we can do here. Opponent looks like they've got everything, but it's a quick enough go off, and it does have a fail rate, right? But Alpine Moon should line up well against a Lotus Field, but I don't have much experience with our card or against theirs. Alpine Moon reads, as it enters the battlefield, choose a non-basic land card name. We'll name Lotus Field. It will lose all land types and abilities and gain, becomes a wastes, basically. Okay. Sounds good to me. This is exactly why I said if our, nice, the Grape Shot kill, passed in flames as well. If our removal lines up, which it didn't, our hand would have been great. Because it didn't, we found the Thoughtseize a little bit too late, and that's going to get us. Okay. I don't know if the client's lagging a bit or what, but yeah, there we go. There we go, there we go. All right. Kroxa and K-Command are probably there or thereabouts. Simply because they're putting pressure on their hand. I should probably look up a list. Be right back, actually. I haven't seen this deck in forever. Alright, so with this configuration, we are keeping our curve pretty low, bringing in more cards to pressure their hand. We are also removing the cards that are most likely to be dead. However, they could pivot, I see here, to a Thing in the Ice plan, and there might not be that much we could do about it, but between our disruption and, we could maybe bolt and seal it or something, hopefully that will be enough. But yeah, I think this is pretty much where I want to be. We're just racing and disrupting as hard as possible. Nihil Spellbomb keeps us cantripping through our deck and also can be good against their past in flames that we saw. So without knowing anything more than the average bear, I think this is what I want to do. It's a definite keep. If maybe one of our 2-drop threats was a second land, it would be a nutty keep, right? But I'm definitely still here for it. We definitely need to get Blood Crypt here, because cast our whole hand, especially Alpine Moon, right? But for now, we're going to take the highest upside play of Swifty. Get the clock going. And we can potentially double spell next turn if we draw. Actually, if we draw any land in our deck, we can double spell next turn, right? Well, just with a tap Talaria West, we don't, unfortunately. So we just have to Thoughtseize here and keep racing. Psychic Puppetry is a big part of how they go off. They do have Lotus Field. Peer Through Depths, Ideas Unbound, Dreams Grip. I don't know which one to take. It looks really balanced to me. I am just going to take Puppetry here. Not sure if that's correct. We're basically just kind of hoping that they can't beat Alpine Moon anyway. It would be cool to have enough pressure and disruption to force them to play the Lotus Field and sack their lands and not be able to go off that turn, plan to go off next turn or whatever, and then we get to moon it, but alright, Blood Crypt. Yeah, I mean, we just kind of have to stay on the Swifty track now and hope that this disruption is good enough. Big 200 IQ call from Jonathan to include Alpine Moon in our deck. Also, Swifty really showing her worth thus far. Might as well fire off this bolt, right? More prowess and more direct damage. Opponents at 11. And they're going to peer. I suppose looking for an out to moon or maybe some kind of alternative win con. They choose a Psychic Puppetry, making me feel a bit better about my take of the first one, but I'm still not sure that's correct. I would, need to sit down and really figure it out. This is one of those decks where you probably benefit from getting just a few reps in with it, right? You're like, okay, now I know exactly how it works. In general, though, you get the idea of it, right? Opponent just playing that Lotus Field out, because it also takes away all abilities, including that very negative ETB. Alright, well, our hand is staying one-dimensional here. But again, hopefully the Hate of Alpine Moon plus our decent, but not, blazing fast pressure will be good enough. Strangely, even though we have a bunch of threats in hand, the only castable one is this one at Scourge. Jawari Disruption? Oh no, that's a disaster, actually. That's a real disaster. Because, again, all of our other threats are uncastable. Now, granted, so many things will turn them on. Any kind of third land is going to let us double spell. Unless it's mountain. Don't draw mountain or swamp. Don't draw a basic land. Right? But yeah, that was brutal. Nevertheless, still hopefully getting over the line here. Let's draw something relevant. Another Scourge. Yeah, that's relevant. Again, our hand's very one-dimensional, very unbalanced after a balanced, first 2 turns. 2 or 3. Because we did miss, remember, the land drop. The second land drop on the first draw step, turn 2. Alright, they're dead to any non-creature spell if they don't have interaction, and we found one that's Bauble. Okay. Let's see if this gets OP or if they have a way to stay alive. Bauble is a fair enough find under those circumstances. Reach Through Mists. Splicing Psychic Puppetry to tap our team down. That sucks. We did not know about Reach Through Mists as far as I know. And that's pretty bad, right? Because now we don't necessarily have the kill next turn, and we just got time walked hard. If we lose this one, I'll feel very unlucky. Between our Goyfs getting stuck in hand and everything else. Okay, there's another Blood Crypt. Yeah, just things not really going our way, but hopefully just get carried by Alpine Moon and have a stronger, more balanced G3 progression. Another Goyf, you gotta be kidding me. All right. Another Reach Through Mists. All right, so I think we're just simply supposed to present lethal with a 2/2 Shadow, as bad as that is, and as much as they're continuing to dig through their deck like nobody's business, and as mana inefficient as that is relative to putting Lurrus into hand, it's just like, we just gotta try to kill them. Gotta try to kill them even when our deck isn't quite complying with that mission. Notably, opponent tapped a lot of blue lands there. Oh, sorry, this is... I misspoke. That's not a waste, it's a rainbow land. That's very different. And that's actually part of why Alpine Moon doesn't see maybe as much play as you would think, because against, like, Tron, it can turn on their claims that might otherwise not be live, right? So, never mind, scratch that. They do have a mono blue up to try to stay alive here. Lightning bolts. Well, we're inching our way toward victory, my friends. I suspect we're going to get our trio tapped down here, but... Oh, our duo is getting tapped down. Interesting. Well, that's 3 of their 4 reach-through mists, right? Man, if only we had a green land, right? I'm not going to bolt. We're going to put Lurrus into hand this time. We'll outgrind them if we can't. If we can't just kill them, I guess. This is a little silly. I wonder if opponent can just, you know, get to the point where they have enough lands to go completely crazy. Maybe they do now with Aria Flame. Yeah, that was completely crazy. They don't even need a lot of lands to do it. They just wipe our entire board with that. Wow. Okay. That's rough. It's about as rough as it gets. And we're getting styled on hard there by that play. However, it must be said, you know, if our deck hadn't failed so hard to provide either anything besides threats or castable threats or whatever, then we would have killed them long ago with the disruption of Alpine Moon, right? Alright, if we could double Tarmogoyf, then maybe that would be interesting. But as it is, I think we're just going to buff up the Swifty here with Lurrus buying back Bauble and a Lightning Bolt. And they're tapping us down again. All right. They're about to draw Ideas Unbound. A little scary, potentially. Little scary. Merchant Scroll, also a little scary. Yeah, I think it's pretty likely that we're about to die. Echoing Truth. Yeah, that ought to do it. If Arya doesn't do it, then the Lotus Fields will, right? Okay, completely wrecked here. I think I have had enough. I think we can concede here. So that's just a shame. You know, they were there for the taking in this game because we were lucky to find our Alpine Moon, but unlucky in many other ways, opponent finding so many copies of Reach Through Mists, right? And yeah, the power of Psychic Puppetry, the power of Splice onto Arcane, definitely in full evidence there. I'm sure there's one or two things I could have done differently, but at the end of the day, I think with our opening keep, we get there in the vast majority of games, and then again it's game 3 looking for a more balanced hand. I think this is probably a pretty good matchup for us, but we just didn't get there this time. Definitely missing the blue splash here, though. This is definitely a good reminder that Stubborn Denial exists and that Grixis or 4-color or 5-color Shadow, whatever you want to play, probably more like 4-color, is a thing. Be good against a card like Aria Flame there, that is for sure. But anyway, they got us here. Feels bad. Third straight, good luck, have fun. I'm going to keep another one-lander. I think we sign up to keep some number of one-landers. It's once again without a discard spell, though. That has been... If there's one thing we could have used more of, basically, so far in the league, it is that. But this is a nice, balanced hand on the whole. Maybe a little threat dense for my preference. A little unbalanced that way, but we might be against Jund. So that could be all to the good, right? But first we need to draw a second land. For now, we're missing it. But let's go Swifty. Go Swifty. And with these one-landers, it's also worth noting that, you know, if we had Hex Drinker, it would be a lot harder to fetch Blood Crypt. And I think, even though it's been a mixed bag so far, Swifty's been awesome. So, yeah, +1 for that deck building decision, right? So it's not Wrenn and 6, they're going to fetch Basic Swamp. Probably just a Goyf. Oh, it's a main phase Abrupt Decay, got it. Alright, second land, please. Fetch land to be exact, or Overgrown Tomb. We don't get it. At least it's a proactive Thoughtseize, but man, oh man, oh man. Alright, Liliana, double Bloodbraid Elf, Wrenn and 6. Pretty much the worst imaginable hand to miss your land drops against, because now we are in huge trouble no matter what we do. I think Liliana's the most unbeatable. But if we take Wrenn, we guarantee them the 4th land for Bloodbraid Elf, but we're just going to have to try to win through the Bloodbraids. Liliana's incredible against us, especially when the opponent's on the play. And when you have missed the second land drop, she is just unbeatable. So there it is. Okay, opponent doesn't need Wrenn's help. They find the 4th land naturally, so the Wrenn is just more value, I suppose. But another reason Swifty looking good there is she forced the Abrupt Decay, whereas Hexy would have just gotten pinged by the Wrenn. Now our Kroxa is pretty bad. Not that we can cast him anyway, right? Now our Kroxa is pretty bad, though, against Wrenn just always picking up a land, right? I guess they're all the way up at 18. I'm going to play a more value game and just chip in at Wrenn for 1, but this sucks. You know, if the opponent gets a little bit too aggressive, though, then maybe they will struggle to answer our Shadow, and that is our big hope. Shadow probably our saving grace here, but of course, I'd take anything playable, right? Be happy to slam a Goyf with a Greenland. Be happy to use my hand in some way, shape, or form that we're not currently able to do. You see how much the opponent's respecting their life total here. They have, they're not able to activate Raging Ravine quite yet. Of course, Wrenn lets them do that at their leisure. They're just going to grab a bunch of basics, and opponent's going to Bloodbraid into Kolaghan's command, which is obviously insane. Pitching Kroxa, I guess it's never going to really get there against Wrenn as far as hand disruption goes. And if we just draw a bunch of lands running, then we'll be happy we have him in the yard. Everything else is at least usable right now. Alright, Verdant Catacombs. Nice. So, with that, we can do a couple different things. We can just play a Goyf. We can just play a Scourge. I think Goyf would be better. Or we can play, like, Seal of Fire and a 4/4 Shadow. And then we're kind of forcing them to cascade into a removal spell, or they're going to be in some big trouble. If we don't want to play Seal of Fire, we could hold up Fatal Push too, but I think playing Seal's better if we're going to take that line. So why don't we do that? Why don't we go for the... I think Shadow is arguably just as high an upside as Goyf anyway, but the fact that we get to double spell makes it probably like we need to recover this lost tempo in a major way, right? Of course, they could just have drawn a kill spell in their hand as well, or they could have another Lily or whatever. They probably do. In all honesty, they probably do. But we gotta make them have it. There's no way around that. And even if they do, we'll have double spelled. We've got more threats where that came from. Maybe we can stabilize. Okay, it looks like a Liliana for a second. I was getting ready to say, oh no. But it's Bloodbraid into Spyro, which is obviously really good. But it's not a kill spell this turn anyway. Which has got to count for something, I guess. But the value is going to be real tough to beat. They were flooded, so Spyro appears to have been the perfect cascade for them. Not only is it a free roll with Ren, it's just kind of getting them some more stuff. Uh-oh. Do they now also just have a Fatal Push that they found off Spyro? Because if so, GG. You know they do. Oh, it's Inquisition. Okay. I don't know if that tomb's in their hand anymore. All right. Mishra's Bauble. Well, it turns on Fatal Push and is therefore kind of interesting. If our Shadow was slightly bigger, it'd be even more interesting, because then we could threaten to attack Ren off the field. We force a chump block, right? But I don't think we're supposed to do that. I think we're supposed to try to do that next turn, get our Goyf down. Hopefully they don't find another discard spell for our Fatal Push. I mean, if they do, that's not the worst thing in general, because these are bad Fatal Push targets, right? But I'm just going to say go here. And continue getting Junded out, because I bet OP's got another X for 1 rolled up. All right, OP, what's it going to be? I mean, we're just so soft to so many things here. I don't think we're going to get there. Our big hope is that they flooded, but they've already kind of flooded once and fixed it. Even if they have, like, just enough juice to stay competitive here, we've got the Ren to worry about, we've got dying on crackbacks to worry about with Raging Ravine, plus all of these relatively poor removal targets from our perspective. So there's much going on here. OP's tanking a bit. There is also potentially a line where Ren plus Lightning Bolt kills a Shadow. We could Seal of Fire ourselves in response to that. So it's definitely correct to make them blink first with that one. Alright, OP with the Wooded Foothills. And of course, another line here is for them to just try to protect the Ren long enough for it to ult. That might be what we're seeing here. Alright, turning off auto yields because Seal of Fire, I'm probably committing to using it next turn, so we can get Revolt that way. So I'm going to Bauble for an extra card on my turn. Oh no, they're about to draw Maelstrom Pulse. Let's hope they fetch that away, right? Let's hope they fetch away any hard removal. We draw Blood Crypt. A little late for that one. Potentially. We draw Tarmogoyf. Okay, that makes it all better. Because now we can double spell effectively. But that's even worse against Pulse. So I think I'm just going to try to take as many actions as I can right now. To see if any of these actions precipitate a fetch for any reason. Because if we can get them to fetch away that Pulse, then we can play our Goyf with impunity. And at this point, we just ignore the Ren, right, and attack them. So I'm going to shock this in. And go for the biggest swing I've got. I realize that going Ravine plus Spyro plus Renping is death on the way back, but given how we've sequenced, I don't think they're going to do that, and indeed they don't. Ooh, but the Spyro tokens, though, I didn't think about that. So maybe that was bad, or maybe I did still have to attack the Ren off the field. Okay. So now we're going to play Goyf, and yeah, okay, maybe I had to think that one through a little bit more. Now we're going to play Goyf, and we're just going to hope they shuffle away with Wooded Foothills. Which I think they probably will, to be fair, and they do. Nice, so no more Pulse. But they do still get to make the tokens on the end step, which is bad. And they're still Jund with 4 cards in hand, a 5th one coming down the pipeline. And hey, they could still draw Pulse after the shuffle, right? That would be pretty rough, but they could do it. However, we do have some very large, very big threats on the field. If there was a way to steal this game, we're probably in the spot to do it. One problem we have, of course, is that if we don't kill them next turn, but also don't manage to remove the Ren, they'll Renblem and be looping Abrupt Decays, and that's GG for us. So, maybe I was supposed to attack Ren. While I had a clean kill. Alright. So OP, if they have 1 kill spell, they're not dead. And then a Renblem happens, and then that's probably GG for us. We draw Thoughtseize. I don't know how much use that really is, because obviously they have instant speed effects here, right? But I'm going to use it. I mean, Lurrus, I think, is too slow at this point. If they miraculously have nothing, this actually just gives us the win, or indeed forces the Raging Ravine jump block, which means we're less dead on the crackback. But yeah, they just got a Fatal Push. Alright, so we're pretty screwed, I think, no matter how we sequenced there. But we could be in for oh my god, and 4 lands in hand. Brah. Seasoned Pyromancer, literally so OP. Alright, so I really regret Thoughtseizing. Should have just put Ren into hand. But whatever. Seasoned Pyromancer, so OP. Yeah. guess we're going to make sure the OP knows how to use their Renblem, and then we're going to scoop it up. There definitely might be a way I could have gotten there. OP can also kill us, I guess, right now with Raging Ravine and Kolaghan's Command Shock, too. Let's see what they do. If they have the lands, which with their hand we know they do. This is a matchup that does feel pretty bad. The Twiddle Storm one is one that we feel like, okay, we're favored there and we still lose. This one, I don't know. You kind of see how it can go here. It's not that we can't get there, but if we stumble, forget about it, because they just have X for 1 after X for 1. We've got to kind of make them stumble, you know? We've got to curve out well, give them a little bit of a wrong half of the deck problem, give them a few too many big threats to answer. You know, they have the hard removal like Fatal Push, but it's not in enormous numbers, and sorry for this. I assumed it'd be quick, but at this point we'll make OP do it. I guess we've waited this long. There's the Forest. I think maybe we're going to see the K Command Shock into the attack. Okay. So against Jund, Spellbomb, Trophy, Kolaghan's Command, Kroxa, this whole package seems good. Kind of like we've sided in in round 1 and to some extent in round 2 as well. Pithing Needle could play a role. I don't know if it will, but it could. Moving away from discard to the tune of about 3. And I think Seal of Fire is poor here. They've got Tarmogoyfs that it grows to. And we cut our 2 TBRs, and that's a good 60. Now, Pithing Needle is also decent. Maybe a little worse with fewer discard spells, though. Fewer ways to protect it and less info with which to use it. So I could definitely see playing without it. I think we'll play without it. Especially on the play, we're just threat and answer oriented purely. Value too, right? But on the draw, like, needling Liliana is a lot more necessary, probably. So maybe on the draw, we could, like, bring back a discard spell, play the Needle, and make 2 cuts. I don't know what they'd be. Maybe, like, a Swifty and a Fatal Push or something. Not exactly sure. You know what? Do we need all 4 Fatal Pushes? We could try Pithing Needle with 3 push only. I think that's probably good, actually. Sure. Needle would have been nice last game. So why not this game, right? Hope you guys are having fun. We're having to really scratch our heads here over some decisions, and unfortunately I had to wait around all day for MTGO to be back online. Really sucks because Wednesdays are my only free day, basically, in my any given week. And of course, Wednesday is the day that they also happen to do the updates. So, and I'm on the East Coast, so I'm out of commission till 3 p.m. Just like an entire day that I pretty much need for this type of content is gone down the drain. So we got a no threats hand. I still think it's a keep. But yeah, because you hate to mulligan against Jund and because it's all well balanced and all of that. But I just love a discard spell, informing our Pithing Needle decision, as well as being a proactive way to kind of house a non-threat hand. But opponent mulling to 5, that's very good news for us. So a blind Pithing Needle is not the most insane thing in the world, giving them all to 5, actually. If we wanted to really try to catch them out with naming a fetch land or something, because even if it's a dud, we're still ahead of them on cards. I'm not going to this turn, though. I'm just going to play Nihil Spellbomb, and if I do blind name Pithing Needle next turn, it'll probably just be Ren and 6 or Lily. Maybe Ren because they mulled. but there's very few bad draws we have. Given their Deep Maulin with us on the play, the third land to start going on the Lurrus plan is great. Threat is great. Discard spell, great. There's the third land. All right. So because we're going to want to put Lurrus into hand next turn, I think we should blind name something here with Pithing Needle. I think I'm going to name Liliana. If they have a Wrenn, we will regret that, but can at least compete over the first activation with Nihil Spellbomb. Does feel a little weird to name Liliana, though, without us having a threat that we necessarily need to protect from her. You know, their Wrenn can still be really good if we continue to brick, but that's a Goyf. All right. So we can actually bolt the Goyf here for once, but I don't know if I'm supposed to. I think bolt might have more utility than push here. If they have another Goyf, we'll probably regret pushing this one, but I think I'm still going to. We want Bolt for reach, for combat tricks, for, you know, hitting planeswalkers, whatever. Let's take the win with push. It's a 1-for-1 tempo positive. We'll take it. Alright, you know, I'm pretty happy to have drawn another land here because we do get to just, as mentioned, put that Lurrus into hand. And we even have a K command. Like, if they have a single discard spell for Lurrus, we can just buy it back. And if they don't, well, then the fun can potentially begin. Well, I'm playing a tapped land. Alright, they probably have a kill spell for Lurrus at this rate, right? Could have Liliana's Rotting in hand, whatever, Bloodbraid Elf. They could have stuff like this. We draw Shadow, which is interesting. I think I'm going to begin with a Nihil Spellbomb. We draw a Goyf. Nice. Alright, now I'm just double spelling Shadow and Goyf. We got Lurrus to follow up and buy back a Shadow if they kill this one, right? Might as well make our Shadow as big as possible before it hits the field. Although it is still only 3/3. They have a Fatal Push, but they'll choose to push Shadow. They have another push, I guess. Yeah, that is brutal, but we got Lurrus and we got K Command. Got ways to compete over that 1-for-1 removal for sure. Sorry for the muting. I'm drinking coffee out of a mug that is keeping it still very warm, so I'm slurping a lot. Nobody needs to hear that, right? Anyway, well, I'm just going to play Lurrus, buy back a Shadow. Or maybe it could be a Goyf, I'm not strictly sure. Either way, I guess we want to shock. Buying back Shadow allows us to hold up Lightning Bolt. Does that matter? We're dead to double bolt out of them either way. That'd be really unlikely, though. We could play around that, of course, by just playing Shadow with Blood Crypt. I don't think we really should play around that. But maybe if we feel we're far ahead enough, we will. I guess this way represents Veil of Summer, too. Turn off yields in case this is a trophy, but sadly it is a decay. So down goes Lurrus. Who knows how much work this Pithing Needle is doing, but I definitely don't regret naming Lily with it, given the way it's all panned out. OP with a Kroxa. That's a scary one. That's a scary one. That can put us in bolt range despite our best efforts. That can also just be escaped, but at some point. But for now, we'll protect our K command, pitch the bolt, and see if they have yet another answer to Shadow, which I kind of doubt that they do. Thankfully, their fourth land's a basic mountain, keeping them a little further off of the Kroxa escape plan. We draw a push. That's another really interesting one. Simply because there are some incentives to not crack Peatland now, whereas before we were probably going to start off doing that. Let's attack first and see what happens. I don't suppose they have anything in hand that's going to get got by a K command. That matters anyway. So I think we're just supposed to say go here. Holding up K command, holding up Peatlands. If we need to crack Peatland, we've got instant speed. Fatal push that could benefit from that as well. The other thing to mention there is that K command could help feed their Kroxa, right? Ren and 6, sure. Another Shadow. Alright, so... it can't be Veil of Summer in their hand, right? Nah, really unlikely. It probably doesn't matter that we discard them out, but I still think it's on average the best play. Probably a little better than Shocking, although we're getting close to where Shocking matters. But we're going to play the value game here. Twas a lily after all. Nice. Alright, Mishra's Bauble. We'll take it just because that lets us know exactly what they're up to, but my plan is Lurrus, Spellbomb away that Kroxa and the rest of their graveyard while we're at it. They're about to draw Nihil Spellbomb 2. Well, if they're about to draw a Spellbomb... maybe we're just going to get him dead with a Shadow in our hand, right? And we'll take some value while we can. Okay, that's good enough. All right, game 3. Jeez, this is a lot longer league than I had hoped for, but I am having a lot of fun. Hope you are too. So for game 3, like we mentioned, in previous matches, discard getting a little bit better. On the draw, probably only going to bring back like a single Inquisition, if anything. I could see cutting like a Dismember maybe, or a Swifty. I think I'm going to cut a Swifty. Yeah, I feel about 3 pushes probably about correct on the draw here. We do need to worry more about Tarmogoyf basically on the draw. Sure, I don't think losing 1 Swifty is probably going to make or break our odds here. Especially on the draw. On the play, she can run Riot a lot more against a deck like Jund to get a lot more work in. Maybe force removal on the draw, not so much. Alright, it's another 1-lander. This one doesn't cast our Swifty, but we have to keep it. Opponent's mulling. Nice, we're getting lucky with these mulls against Jund. I'm going to keep it. Obviously, this can fail if we never draw the second land, but we got Inquisition, Push, Shadow, all cast off of this Peatland. We're on the draw, we're going to see more lands. Are more likely to see lands. And then on top of that, the hand is good if we ever find the other lands, right? So... OP with a Spellbomb. I'm grateful that that's not an Inquisition. Let's see if we can hit the second land right away. We can. We can. I don't think I'm going to play Swifty, though. And this is why I was happy to cut one on the draw, because on the draw against Jund, I'm feeling priced into the Inquisition. We don't want them to stick a Wrenn. We want to know exactly what we're playing around and what we're playing into. There's a Wrenn. Wow. They have no red right now. I'm still probably supposed to take the Wrenn, but Spyro and Kroxa are 2 real good cards, too. But Kroxa is just a 1-for-1 for now. And Spyro, they're 2 red sources away from casting. That's the scariest card in their hand. But I think I'm going to take the Wrenn. Fascinating, though. So now they're the ones with the major fail rate. Like, they desperately need to find red ASAP. And if they don't find one, they're probably going to kick it right off with a right away. They're probably going to kick it off with a Spellbomb activation. OP tanking. Interesting. They found it right away. But that definitely, I think, rewards me for taking the Wrenn. And they don't choose to play Kroxa. Alright, I respect that, I suppose. We find another land. It is Blood Crypt. So now we should just be jamming a threat here. Think it should be Goyf just because it dies to less, right? And they seem to clearly want to use the Spellbomb. That's going to grow the Goyf too. Scourge is a higher upside play, I guess, because it can start snowballing harder. Maybe. But I think that's good sequencing from the opponent to Spellbomb first. It just means they have slightly higher land counts in their deck because they're probably trying to find a land, another red land for Spyro. And also, of course, it lets them, you know, if they find a push or something, they can push the Goyf here, have a really efficient turn. But they didn't find a push because they're getting Stomping Ground. But have they found a second red land? And if so, is Spyro even the play? They have. Rough. Really rough. Like I said in game 1, Spyro OP, right? But maybe... it'd be scarier if they found, like, Lily. It looked for a second like they did, but... It is good old Spyro. We know they can pitch a land relatively freely, and the Kroxa, and that's what they do. So we don't know what any of their 3 cards are. And we saw how good these tokens are game 1 against our deck at keeping them around. We find a trophy. I don't hate it. But I don't think I want it right this second. So, unfortunately, we cannot get Shadow down. Otherwise, it'd be really interesting to go Swifty, push. Like, imagine... Yeah, imagine that we could have a fetch land here. We could do so many things, but that might not be correct in the grand scheme anyway. So I think we're supposed to ship with Goyf, see if they decide to block or not, and then decide what to do from there. I think putting Lurrus into hand is strangely viable, even though our graveyard is empty. But let's attack first, see what they've got. They've got an elemental chump blocking. Fair enough. I think that makes me want to put Lurrus into hand. If we had a 4th land lineup, that would make our decision-making really easy should we be so unlucky as to see them escape Kroxa this turn, which we will. That sucks. But with the way Spyro digs them through their deck, I suppose that was always relatively likely. If we had the 4th land, it would let us, interestingly, choose to maybe pitch it to Kroxa, or perhaps more likely just pitch a threat, and then pick it back up next turn with Lurrus. Then we wouldn't be pushing Kroxa, though, right? So, I think we're just going to have to take our medicine with this Kroxa X for 1-ing us. Like, we got an X for 1 with Lurrus in our hand, too, so let's just pitch Swifty. We can push the Kroxa. Hopefully they won't be able to escape him again this game. And Goyf will go back to beating him down. Just a lot smaller, maybe. And they'll attack with Spyro. I get it, but I think ultimately that probably benefits us. They don't know our hand, though. So you can't fault it. You gotta choose to be proactive at some point, right? We got another Swifty, fascinating, so that allows us to triple spell. We probably should, right? Play a Swifty, push the Kroxa, play a Shadow. It's only a 3/3 Shadow. I don't love that, but it's not like other stuff is that big anyway. Scourge is the real heavy hitter. I suppose, like, if we can force them to use removal on non-Scourge things, that's also good. So yeah. Yeah, the Kroxa was so rough, though. Just, like, emptying the graveyard was huge for them. Shrinking our own Goyf. We'll see how it goes, though. We both have 3 cards in hand. We have 3 creatures. They have 1. They have a land advantage. They now have a 4th card in hand. We have Lurrus, though, in hand. So I think this is anybody's game. They play a Blackcleave Cliffs. It's probably not what they want, but they could have so much right now. And our creatures are so small that you can't just necessarily shove. Blood Crypt, huh? Blood Crypt is a little weird, but it does definitely allow us to attack with relative impunity here. And then just follow up with Lurrus buying back. Like, the dream is that they don't call our bluff by blocking Swifty if we send all 3 in. They block Shadow and, like, 2-for-1 themselves to kill the Shadow somehow, and then we just play Lurrus and buy it back. That's, like, what we want to happen. But anything could happen here. Let's shock in the Crypt, and I think we're going to spook them into some kind of a block here. If we attack with everything. And Cliffs is very bad. Wow, they call that bluff? Really? I did not think they would call that bluff. But you got us. Alright, they got to push for the Shadow, so we're still going to buy back Shadow this turn, I guess. But yeah, nice call, OP. Maybe they have to play for that type of upside in that spot. Opponent looks like they got kill spell for Lurrus, too. Yep, sure do. Dang. And it's all fueling the Kroxa comeback, right? But we're still, I think, a bit ahead. Opponent looking a bit flooded over there. That's nice. Goyf is just still strangely so small. Bloodstained Mire, huh? Alright, there's that chump block we knew was coming. And there's our Scourge. I think we're playing it cool with the trophy here. Like, if they rip discard, I sincerely want to be able to trophy an elemental token. That's very relevant right now. Opponent is flooded. But what's their last card we're about to see? Last card's a Bloodbraid Elf. All right. Big moment here. Big moment. Into... Hopefully it's a Thoughtseize. It's a Tarmogoyf. That's a pretty good one. It just allows them to extend the game, right? Any 2-for-1 there was going to be good. The Kroxa's the big guillotine kind of hanging over our heads here. We're both at 4:59 on the clock when I glanced over. That's kind of funny. All right, crack Peatland. Mishra's Bauble. All right, I guess that makes me not want to fetch yet. Another Bauble. Ooh, these are coming at some weird times. But let's begin by bobbling OP. They're about to draw. Oh no. Oh, Bloodbraid Elf? Okay. So now we want to trophy that away. Yep, trophy that away. Maybe they won't search, actually. That'll be interesting if they don't. Either way, trophying the Goyf makes sense, though. They did not search, so they're going to have a Bloodbraid Elf off the top. Let's bauble ourselves now, I suppose. We run the risk of Bloodbraid hitting discard, but we're about to draw Verdant Catacombs, so we need to shuffle that away. And we need to not die in the crackback, and Bloodbraid could cascade into removal, so I think we need to sit back with two things, sadly. That really sucks. But we could still be okay. But yeah, I mean, they're just ripping Bloodbraids off the top at the very end of the game. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. And Spyro, again, so OP. Alright, so on my own upkeep, I'm going to shuffle away the Verdant Catacombs with the draw trigger on the stack. Both draw triggers on the stack. I'm drawing 2. So I might as well go get a basic here in case I'm lucky enough to be able to, like, draw a bolt push and double spell or something. There's a push. Not a bolt, of Wooded Foothills. But we do have Revolt for this push. I think that's a good one, so unless the Cascade off Bloodbraid is really nutty, hopefully we're getting there. Into Kolaghan's Command. Man, now they get to buy back a Tarmogoyf. Will it ever end? Will it ever end? Both of us at 3 minutes on the clock. This is a heck of a game. You gotta say that. So, opponent, if they shock us, we go to 4. I guess that doesn't really do anything for them because we have 2 blockers, even if they want to call our bluff for, like, a removal spell. Pretty easy picture of the Wooded Foothills there, wouldn't you say? Alright, now we're pushing that Goyf. but Kroxa can escape next turn with a couple different finds. A couple different categories of find. So it's insane that they've continued to have all the stuff that they need to stay in this. But can we just get the kill here somehow? Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolts. Alright. It's not the kill. Even if they let Goyf through, it's not the kill. So I guess we're just gonna bolt a Bloodbraid Elf and force some chump blocks. If they were at one less, we could maybe attack first, and that would have been really interesting. Well, we actually have to sit back with the Goyf. Or we might as well sit back with the Goyf. I don't know, there's 2 minutes on the clock. I should just make a decision here. No, we didn't have to, because they have to block... No, I'm sorry. I keep contradicting myself. Because, yeah, if they were at one less life, that turn would have been probably, I guess, GG either way, right? Alright, so they still have to find a kill spell for Tarmogoyf or a lightning bolt off the top, I think, to win here. They found Nurturing Peatland. They also would have needed to fill the graveyard for Kroxa, which I guess they probably had anyway. So it's exactly one card off the top. Does it kill us or do we win? They're paying costs. They're reversing the costs. We did not have enough suspense before OP. Now we have enough, right? If I lose to a Kroxa plus a kill spell here, I'm gonna tilt a little bit, but it's also been an epic game either way, right? But, you know, maybe they have us because they're taking the action. But they would have needed to have drawn exactly a kill spell. And that would be a little insane. Because they're at 1, and being at exactly 1 means they have so much more freedom to do anything than we... Oh. Than we otherwise would have given them, right? Alright, I guess they're dead and they're making us do it. Any hit and they're dead. So I don't think dismembering first makes sense, because it could turn on... Well, they don't have mana for Kolaghan's command. Whatever, I'm going to attack. What could it possibly be? If they're playing, like, yeah, I'm just worried about a shock effect, basically, but then I realized that they didn't have the lands up for that, and that's the game. They're just making us sweat it out. Great games. Liliana and Spellbomb in hand. Oh my goodness. So close, and the tempo mattering so much. We'll show them our Dismember that we just drew again. Kind of 6-1, half dozen of the other. But if they had had a third land open for Kolaghan's command, then we probably would not have wanted to Dismember. Here, I guess it's kind of free, one way or the other. Whatever. I feel like I've played more than an entire league, and it's only 3 matches deep, but we gotta keep going. What a return back to Modern this has been. Some really intense gameplay. Hope you guys are having fun. We're doing pretty well at beating the Jund mirrors of both varieties thus far, but boy oh boy, has it been close. Alright, my friends, we're on the play with a nasty-looking hand. The only question is whether to lead on Swifty and then double spell, or to Inquisition to maybe take away an impactful card like Utopia Sprawl, for example, and or to clear the way for Swifty. I think I'm going to go with the Inquisition, but I think it's very close as to which one we should do in the blind here. Very, very close, indeed, but... If we had, like, a bolt instead of push, too, like, to really push the Swifty damage through if we don't need kill spells, then that would be another story. Alright, we're against Elves, so they have Elvish Warmaster, they have Nettle Sentinel, which we can push next turn, Archdruid and Visionary. Visionary draws a card, Warmaster goes wide. They're both pretty good cards. I think I'm going to take the Warmaster for now. And it's a kind of a weird Elves keep, because there's no acceleration, right? But it's just like a functional hand. They're kind of rewarded for running into a deck like ours where we're interacting, or they just knew they were going to draw the Mystic right off the top. How about that? That works too. But we do have the kill spell for that, thankfully. And yeah, we're going to get our beat on with good old Swifty, who's, again, I repeat, has been really nice this league. All right, well, I don't know how our Game 1 matchup is. I'm feeling like it could still kind of go either way, but overall, I guess I'm feeling okay about this spot. We do kind of have to Inquisition away the Archdruid, though, next turn. That's our big problem. So if we can't double spell, then I'll start to feel a little bit aggrieved about that. But we can, because we draw Thoughtseize. That seems good. The life total's definitely not free, but that seems good. And it's going to unlock our Shadow, too. And they've drawn a Collected Company. Wow. So, a perfectly timed Thoughtseize, if I do declare so myself. Definitely some nice stuff here going down. The thing is, with Elves, though, they're always just one top deck away from kind of going nuts again. We'll see if we get there. Ooh, opponent... Ooh, okay. They're thinking about chumping with Elvish Visionary. I understand the impulse, because, you know, Scourge, the Skyclaves, is going to get bigger off of that. Not that they know we have it, but they can safely assume. I still wouldn't chump there. You just need your Elves. Like, just take the beat. You need your Elves, and opponent... in the end, does agree. So I think that's correct. And here comes Nettle Sentinel, and if they... I was going to say, if they found like an Elvish Warmaster off the top, that would be a problem. Looks like they're just playing a Tomb tapped. And now from here, they just want to draw more Collected Companies, right? We've drawn Lightning Bolt. What a good draw. What a good draw. So now we get to attack. They're thinking about calling our bluff with a double block. In the end, they do nothing. I guess I'm not too worried about these two creatures that much specifically. Like, if they have a Coco in hand and they go nuts next turn, so be it. I think we're just going to get our Scourge down and then save Bolt for a more opportune target. But I would have been very happy to Bolt and then Shadow there, if I had to. But since I don't have to, let's do this. So I don't remember if I finished this thought, but I was saying I don't know how Game 1 goes. I think maybe I got sidetracked then from there. But we have 3 Kozileks return in the sideboard, so that's going to be pretty good in Game 2. It's obviously take nothing for granted, but that should be pretty good. Let's just put it that way. All right, OP tanking here. Maybe they're wondering whether or not to crack Peatland. I think that's the most likely thing they should be tanking about. Or maybe they found a Coco and they're going to main phase it. They sure did. Yikes. Yikes, when you disrupt so well and then they just rip another Coco, that's where things can go south, but let's see what their hit is. We thankfully do have a lightning bolt here. Even a double Lord pickup will... Those Lords will still die to lightning bolts. Alright, OP tank in here too. Usually Coco decisions are relatively straightforward with Elves. I guess that means they found a pretty nuts one. Oh my god, double Shaman at the pack. Yeah, I guess that qualifies. Holy moly. You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. Double Shaman? Brow moment. Tarmogoyf. Alright, well, we kind of have to play defense now, because if we attack with a Scourge, they just take the hit. And then... Well, then we'll have 2 blockers plus a bolt. No, maybe we're supposed to actually attack. I mean, we're kind of dead no matter what we do to another Shaman. We're in big trouble to another Coco. I mean, we are representing Temur Battle Rage. I think we're attacking here. I think they kind of have the inevitability, if nothing else, just because we're a little choked on lands. If, like, the game had gone differently and we had Lurrus to bring over, then that would be a different story, right? Man. I think very few things get them back into this game, but finding a second Coco and a double Shaman has most certainly got the potential to be one of them. You do love to see Elves, though. Super cool deck, obviously. And hey, I'm pretty happy with a chump block of any kind, right? That's just a good way to keep battling in a positive way through an elf ball go off turn or go off progression. Sorry about how long this league has taken, guys. I'm certainly taking my time over some decisions. Our opponents certainly are as well, and there's just a lot of really back and forth gameplay, but I should not project my own lack of time onto others. I'm sure most of you are pumped when we have longer leagues. If you're watching Magic content to begin with, you know, you're here to watch Magic content, you know, so the more of it, the better, probably at least up to a certain point. One good thing about the Shamans is that our shadows are, of course, huge, but... but we're still dead to, like, a dork into a Shaman. We're still very scared of another collected company. But, you know, the fact that they chump blocked there, I don't know exactly what to read into that, but in general, I'm kind of I guess I'm happy that they did. It's hard to really say that for sure, though. But now we're in a position where if we swing with both, they have to at least chump block with one. Assuming we don't die here, assuming nothing else too crazy happens, they have to at least chump block with one. We're definitely bolting something on the end step, even if, like, they are mind gaming us with a... What is this? What is this, another Shaman? Or it looks like either another Shaman or a collected company. But the nightmare is that we go to bolt something on the end step to use tempo, which I think would be correct, and then they Coco in response and do another Shaman and we lose on the spot. But I guess we'd lose to another Coco into Shaman unless they hit only Shaman. Realm Walker. New Kaldheim tech. That's a good card. See if they can play anything off the top right away. If not, I suppose that becomes our must-bolt target. Or whether they do or don't, I guess, right? Alright, let's let them go to attack. Wow, they're attacking here? They're attacking here. Okay. So, block, bolt you to live here, and then go to 1. I hope I don't punt here, but I can't think of anything that would kill me. And now they're overwhelmingly dead on the crackback, I hope. And now, just in case for some reason they were going to second main phase their Realmwalker activation, we disallow that as well, and that's the game. All right. I don't know about that attack, but I don't know what was in their hand or on the top of their library. Maybe they felt they had to press the issue, but we have 3 Kozilek's returns that we're definitely bringing in. We also can play K commands and trophies. They're a little clunky in different ways, but it's just more kill spells. It's probably good enough. I'm not sure exactly what our best cuts are here, but it's probably a mix of like a couple Thoughtseizes, because yes, they take Coco, but everything else is hit by Inquisition. Our life total does matter. Temur Battle Rage, it's a good way to race them, but since we have so many controlling kill spells to pivot into, we're probably supposed to cut those too. And I don't see anything else that's bad, so we're looking at maybe cutting a Kroxa. Yeah, I don't see anything else that's bad. We have a really good configuration post side, so yeah, we got to cut this stuff that's all pretty reasonable, frankly. And then we should probably either cut a high curve. Maybe we cut a Kolaghan's command because it's high curve, even though I think it's even better than the cards we cut. The only way we probably lose most games here is if we get completely nut drawn or if we can't curve out optimally. So I'm going to err on the side of a lower curve when I'm trimming around the edges here with what is a very strong 60, no matter how exactly you configure it. And, you know, they're going to have maybe Veil of Summer post side, so that's another reason to hedge a little bit away from discard when all else is equal. And we have, I mean, again, we have triple Kozilek's return plus Bolts and Seal of Fire. And that's just the red. You know, we got still 4 discard spells, 4 pushes, and a couple trophies, and a couple dismembers. It's going to be tough out there for these elves. And we got Lurrus. And we always have Lurrus. This is a 1-lander, but it's got push, seal, dismember, and we're on the draw. I think we have to keep it. 3 kill spells is way too good to pass up. We also have 2 more removal options in the form of trophy and then Kozilek's return for a sweeper. And the opponent's mulling. It is a keep. We can lose if we draw our high curve stuff and never hit a second land. Otherwise, we're looking great. They're all the way down to 5. Fantastic news. Fantastic news. So all we need to do is draw a couple lands over the first few turns, or even 1 land over the first couple turns. I'll be more than happy with that. And we'll be in pole position here. You gotta say that our opponents have been taking a lot of mulligans this league relative to ourselves. Definitely behooving us here. OP with the Llanowar Elves. Uh-oh, here comes that bug. Really, I'm getting that visual bug with my new computer? You hate to see it. Maybe it's something to do with the fact that they just updated a couple hours ago. In any case, I think I'm going to push here. Simply to play around Veil of Summer. If they want to, in subsequent turns, if they have it, tempo themselves out to hold it up. We can beat their stuff with Seal of Fire and Lightning Bolt. That's a win for us as well. Elvish Mystic. Alright. That dies to our stuff as well. Let's just draw a second land so we don't start losing tempo here. Whoa, okay, I lagged so hard there. Okay, we're back. Whew. I lagged so hard there that I was like, oh, did I not? Like, but then I almost get through my turn. Anyway. Scary stuff there. Don't want to be skipping through those turns. But we do draw the second land, and it's the missing green land, which is nice. It's not necessarily perfect, right? Because we're not holding up Lightning Bolt. But we're holding up Dismember, and that should be good enough. Opponent with no third land and no play. Alright, we desperately want the third land now, so we can just put Lurrus into hand. Okay, we don't get it, but we get Tarmogoyf. I will absolutely take that. Just as long as we can do something proactive there, that's all I needed. Ooh, yikes. Bad luck for OP. You do hate to see it. We're just drawing all the good stuff. We got a couple bolts in the back pocket. But I think it's time to just end the game, basically. Oh, opponent with a Fatal Push. Never mind, I was going to say we get to then deploy the Scourge, but we don't. Okay, that's actually a disaster. It's actually real bad for us. I mean, I still think we're going to win, don't get me wrong, but now we can't do anything proactive. It's to the point where if they don't present a target, maybe we just Lightning Bolt upstairs so we can play another Scourge, right? And they do present a target. It's a Heritage Druid. You know what? I still think we're going to bolt upstairs just so we can do something proactive with Scourge guaranteed. I always click Dismember in the wrong order. You got to pay the life first. And if they have Veil of Summer, that would have been the time they used it. But they don't. So we're bolting upstairs so we can turn on our goofy threat that sits in hand until we do. Mishra's Bauble, sure. I might be playing Fatal Push, but I doubt they're playing discard, so we'll do it main phase. They're about to draw a Heritage Druid. Got it, so still no third land, but another card that we probably do want to kill. Heritage Druid, not necessarily a must-kill, but I was happy enough to do it, like, under these circumstances. Some of the time, she really is insane. But I wanted to do it there to be tempo efficient, right? We draw a Goyf. Alright, still just love a third land. Well, we're drawing the uncastables. Let's attack with Scourge, see what they do. I don't think they're going to block. I'm just seeing if they have another Fatal Push. I'm going to play the Goyf. Despite missing the third land forever, I still think we're far enough ahead that we could feasibly just Lightning Bolt the Heritage Druid, play it really safe. Because if they draw, I was going to say if they draw like Dwynen's Elite here and go completely nuts, then we're going to really pay. But they don't, so now let's finally draw the third land and get a nice, clean coup de grace, the Kozilek's Return, and we do. Let's go. That is some hype. Alright, we got to use the OP anti-elf tech. And we're rewarded for aggressively playing the Goyf last turn OP scoops with absolutely no hope of coming back from that. So bad luck from the Elves player, they mulled a 5. We draw a pretty good hand against them despite the stumble. We just have removal for days and enough of a clock to matter. And, beyond that, on top of that, I should say, they also never hit their third land. Clearly had some higher curve stuff rotting in hand, so you hate to see it. I love Elves. I hate to bully them that hard, but we have cashed the league now, and we're playing for the 4-1 in that 5th and final round. Deck feeling great. Deck feeling absolutely fantastic. See you for round 5. Uh-oh, we got another Lurrus Mirror to round out the league. Pretty balanced hand, though. I guess I'll keep it. But it's balanced if our Inquisition resolves. And the opponent's on the play. If it's a mirror match, they might Inquisition our Inquisition. And then we just have 3 threats and 3 lands operating in the dark. Nothing to do turn 1. So nevertheless, I think we have to keep this. And Flooded Strand, Hallowed Fountain. Interesting. Merfolk. Yo. Okay. I get it. Yeah, I get it. Blue-white Merfolk. Cool. I don't know how good our hand is going to be because they have a lot of tricks to play, but I'm just thankful this Inquisition will resolve. But they have Harbinger to bounce, Merfolk Trickster to, just absolutely wreck our stuff. I think Trickster kills... I haven't played against this with this, but I think it might kill Scourge on sight. It'll definitely kill Goyf in combat. I think we have to take Trickster. Mariner's really annoying, but we don't have any other interactive spells. So I guess we just take the Trickster and try to win the race against them. Try to have higher card quality, but they have more synergy. They can tempo us out. We might be able to break the symmetry a little bit with Lurrus, but they're not really going to be putting stuff in our graveyard, right? So, and they're playing more of a defensive game, I guess, by leading on Mariner, which definitely makes sense. I mean, playing the Lord out, probably a little ambitious. Oh, alrighty, so let's see what we can draw. It is a Lightning Bolt. That's a pretty good one. I think we're just going to play a threat, though. Not sure necessarily whether it should be Goyf or Scourge there, as I've said a lot this league, actually. Maybe that's something that comes with time to some degree, but I think in general it has been kind of a coin flip for a lot of these situations. Another Mariner. Wow. And we have another Bolts. So at this point, it might be correct for us to just, attack with Goyf. See what they do. If they assign a mob block, we'll be happy to spend our turn bolting something. But if they don't, then do we just play we'll be playing a 6/6 or 7/7 Shadow and a 3/3 Scourge, actually the opposite of what I just said. Yeah, I think we're just supposed to play creatures because they're stuck on... they're stuck on lands like they are. We don't, like, have to Faction Shock. It might be better if we do, but we don't have to. It's kind of hard for me to calculate which is better, to be perfectly frank. So I will err on the side of doing the things that my deck naturally wants to do. See, if they didn't have double Mariner, these lightning bolts would be insane. Because we could fire one off, pay for the tax, kill the Mariner, and then fire the other one off on something else. Nevertheless, it's still pretty great, right? Curse Catcher. Okay, so they don't Harbinger us. They play the Lord, and they're also able to play another threat, right? Will they ship in with the Mariners, maybe, to try to force a trade with Shadow? They'd have to attack with both to make that worthwhile. Maybe they send in Biomancer too. I think overall their attacks are kind of bad. If they were going to attack, they probably should have, like, represented Dismember or even something crazy like Path to Exile first. But yeah, they're just not attacking, so I get it. Thoughtseize. A lot worse than it would be if not for these Mariners, which is one of my most hated cards to play against, but I understand why people play it. It's very good. Just can't believe they made like a changeling that blows out interaction. Really? Anyway. So the obvious thing to do is attack with Scourge because it's the biggest chunker. It makes it harder for them to block. It's going to make everything else better. It's going to make itself better. But the problem with that is then if they Harbinger it back, it's just clunkier to play, to put back down, right? And they can only bounce tapped creatures. Nevertheless, I guess that's what I'm going to do. All right, they're jumping. I love that. Just like against Elves, I do love that. I don't think I'm supposed to probably ever Faction Shock unless it's for lethal with that Catacombs. I mean, I can fetch, but I don't think I'm supposed to shock. A 4/4 Shadow should be sufficient with what we're dealing with here. So let's say the opponent just like puts Lurrus into hand. Then we can pay 2 to bolt on top of the 1 to bolt a Mariner, untap, bolt another something, and then Thoughtseize, and we could even bolt the Master that way. And still pay for the Thoughtseize, but they're just going to main phase the Harbinger. That makes a lot of sense. That's something we, of course, talked about. as a reason to potentially attack with the 1-drop Shadow, right? Gotta remember, opponent has a Curse Catcher, though. I think bolting one of these Mariners gives us the most tactical flexibility. Next turn. But I don't know. Something just makes me want to hit the Lord anyway. Because I don't know if we're Thoughtseizing anymore. That's the thing. That's the reason. Like grabbing a Stomping Ground here in case they have Spreading Seas to shut us off green. Not that that's a huge deal at this stage, I guess. Blood Crypt A. Now let's see if we can get him to chump block again. They don't. I think that's correct not to. Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to get the Scourge back down. And not shock in for Lightning Bolt because they've got Curse Catcher to beat it anyway, although in a way that's fine. I'm not confident that I played the last couple turns exactly optimally. Like if we had bolted a Mariner instead of the Lord like we'd planned, then we would have been able to be holding up Bolt for their Lord right now, while still making this Scourge play. There's also definitely some scope to putting Lurrus into hand, like, for a little while now, but the main reason I haven't is because we have other good things to do. Oh, they find a Trickster. Dude, that sucks. That's insane. And they have Path to Exile? What? Alright, hell, literal perfect 2 top decks. I mean, he literally couldn't have better top decks than that. Oh my goodness. That's rough. That's so rough. Okay. Uh-huh. So we take a lot. We're down to 2. But we have Lurrus to gain life. If we put it into hand and play it, we're going to be taking probably too much to live. That's probably too much to beat. Dismember. A little late for that one. Also a little painful, but yeah, I mean, we're at literal 2. So the opponent swinging for 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. The opponent swinging for 9. We gain 3. So they're virtually swinging for 6. We block 4 of it. We're still dead. In other words, we block 2 of the biggest ones. We gain 3 while doing so. We still take 5. We're exactly dead. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that was wrong to play Scourge, but we're actively punished for it because they had not only a Trickster, but also Path as well, because why not? So is there any way to stay alive? If we bolts, we're paying 2, then we can dismember for free, but we're still exactly dead. We can make them attack and work up the courage to see if we have 3 removal spells, but I guess they earned it. That is an example of white doing stuff that blue could never ever do, specifically Path to Exile, a big killer there. However, I think the find of Merfolk Trickster was really what killed us there. That card wrecks us. It wrecks us in a major way. So, Kozilek's return is great, but we'll have windows where it's not enough. But against their Mariner deck, I do like it a lot. Maybe even more than against regular Merfolk, and Assassin's Trophy is fine. It's not exciting, really, but it's fine. I think I usually trim Tarmogoyfs. I think I'm supposed to cut Scourges altogether, and then also maybe trim Tarmogoyfs and go full control plan. So we're obviously going to be a lot less threat dense that way. But what if we bring in another Kroxa, even though it's kind of medium here? I think it's probably correct. Because, like, we have TBRs that are medium, we have Goyfs that are medium, and we have too many Thoughtseizes probably for our own good. So we need to make 3 cuts. Deglamer is fascinating, actually, against Ether Vial and Spreading Seas, but mostly it's good against Vial. Pithing Needle could be interesting, too. I'm leaning away from wanting actively to use these cards, though. I don't think TBR is the game we're supposed to be playing when we have sided out of so many threats. If we were saying, screw it, let's make them have the Tricksters and stuff, then maybe we could be more excited about those. As it is, I don't know. I don't know about them. So, I think playing with only 3 Thoughtseizes is more than enough against Merfolk. You gotta really be careful with your life total with their flash abilities and so on and so forth. I guess we're leaving in all 4 Goyfs. Again, we could play a Deglamer. I'm probably not gonna. It wouldn't have done anything last game. Let's run it back. Well, this actually seems like a pretty bad matchup. It's kind of like Elves, except they have main deck Path to Exile, and they have 2/2s with Flash that ETB either reduce a Goyf to 0/1 while in combat or outright kill Scourge of the Skyclaves. So that's some pretty bad stuff. Nevertheless, and they have Lurrus too, which the Elf deck doesn't. So there's a lot to hate. Yeah, I'll keep this one. Yeah, we could have actually considered more closely playing Nihil Spellbombs, actually, just because they're relative free roll and they clean up after our interaction to make Lurrus worse, right? But yeah, maybe. But on the play, I think this is okay anyway. Maybe if we take him to game 3, we can cheat even further away from threats with a couple Goyfs making way for a couple Spellbombs. I think that would be reasonable for sure. All right. OP keeping 7. This basic mountain's awkward, actually. I probably should have played it and just played Seal of Fire. I didn't think that one through. My bad. We'll just say go. But I probably, you're so used to just fetching and shocking T1, right? But I kind of can't get Blood Crypt because we need to cast a Tarmogoyf, even if it's bad. And hey, look, they're going to give us a Dismember target anyway. Not that I really want to be dismembering a Curse Catcher, you understand? But we will. Alright, despite all its flaws and failings, we do need to get good old Tarmogoyf down this turn, I think. Rather than trying to play Kroxa into their 6-card hand, it's just not going to do it. We gotta hope they don't have Merfolk Trickster, but we have the luxury of being on the play. So even if they do, we attack next turn, they flash it in. We'll have Seal of Fire, we'll have Fatal Push, right? And if they just, like, play a Mariner or something, then, hey, we'll just play a Seal of Fire, grow the Goyf, and bash in. Wander Wine Hub is part of what makes blue-white Merfolk cool. Right? Oh, they have another one, and they reveal a curse. All the curse catchers. Okay, got it. Interesting. We have Kolaghan's Command, eh? Alright, I guess we're going to play a Seal of Fire. And if they don't block, we're going to seal one to grow the Goyf. And if we were just at one lower life total, I'd play a Shadow. But we're not, so we're holding up Fatal Push, which is pretty poor against Curse Catcher exactly, but we can always push it. Right, if we just want to be efficient, and we might be priced into that. We'll see what they do here, of course. But if we're priced into that, they'll attack. We're going to let this attack hit, because that at least lets us cast Shadow next turn. Silvergill Adept revealing Lord of Atlantis. Some gasoline for the fish. Alright, oh, they've got more? Jeez Louise. Alright, we're pushing Curse Catcher because we gotta play for high upsides at this stage. We gotta hope that we can draw like an untapped land for Kolaghan's Command, for example. Whether this turn or in the near future. We draw another Shadow instead. Looking like this is going to be the one that got away. We just can't curve out. Basic Mountain killing us here. It's definitely not over, right? But it's definitely not looking great. I think I'm supposed to play a Shadow here and like really, like our sequencing really aggressively is bluffing Bolt. And maybe they won't, maybe they'll be a little cautious around that. Like Bolt makes perfect sense with everything we've done here, including pushing that Curse Catcher last turn. The bad news for us is we don't actually have it. And it doesn't look like they're going to play scared of it at all because they just run out of Lord. Alright, well, our Shadow's big, but the way they're playing, I don't think that's a good thing necessarily. Harbinger of the Tides, brah. So brutal. So brutal. Alright. Man, can you imagine if we had a sweeper rolled up here? We saw how good it was against Elves. It could be that good here too. But instead, we're just continuing to only be able to single spell due to this mountain. Alright. So, we're in a lot of trouble, to state the obvious. I think our only real play is to play the Goyf and hope they don't have Spreading Seas. Or much of anything else. But there goes our window to like cleanly K-command away the Lord before they can protect it or grow it or something. They're just not going to get there. And if they just have more lords to jam, then that'll be that. They're going to adapt. Well, cool to see a couple tribal decks, even though I think this one's gonna beat the pants off of us. Hey, there's a path. I kind of had a feeling they've been holding a path, right? Makes a lot of sense. And that's game. All right, well, that was a beating to bring us back down to earth. We finished with a 3-2. I think that matchup is tough, that blue-white Merfolk matchup, but it's not a meta deck. Don't worry much about it for the moment. And hopefully if you had never seen it before, you learned a couple things to expect. I also think it's closer than what we showed here. They had spectacular curve-outs. I know the Merfolk deck pretty well from playing against it a lot. With good old Dogfish. I know it pretty well. Those were spectacular curve-outs, and we stumbled pretty hard. We also stumbled pretty hard against spectacular curve-outs with our other loss. With Twiddle Storm, we just couldn't get that little bit of extra efficiency. And when we're losing with this deck, it seems it's because of efficiency. We have been able to outgrind the Mirror. We have been able to outgrind Jund. And we have been able to completely style very, very hard on Elves with a critical mass of kill spells. And if we had drawn the hands like we drew against Elves against Merfolk, we'd be going to Game 3, or we would have won 2-0, or whatever it would have been. But, obviously there are different tools available to those decks, respectively. But it really does feel like it came down more to our stuff. And hey, I'm not an experienced Shadow player. I'm seeing balanced hands, I'm keeping them. Maybe a really good Shadow player takes a long, hard look at that basic mountain in our final game and says, is this really going to get us where we need to be? And I don't know. But we definitely, I have to say, I think Jund Shadow is the strongest Shadow variant. I think the meta reflects that. And I even kind of thought that Jund Shadow was the best even when Rakdos was the meta. Not strictly better, by no means. But I think we actually got punished a decent amount for playing that third color here, more so than I ever would really have expected. So even though I continue to say that Jund is the strongest and whatever, and I think the meta will continue to prove that at least for a little while, we got punished for playing good old Tarmogoyf in a couple different ways. You know, Goyf is a liability. Not as much as a liability against Scourge, but still a liability against what's it called? The card that wrecked us. Merfolk Trickster. And that is definitely something, but more to the point, the third color was a liability. We had times when Goyf was stuck in hand because we didn't find green. We had other times where we could not double spell, and maybe if we're on Rakdos, we have just a mana base that's more easily configured to double spelling, even when operating off of one basic land. That's really what killed us at critical mass of the time, having to operate off of one basic land and 2 lands total. That left us, unless you have the perfect spread of spells, you'll start single spelling every now, before long, and certain other cards like that Kolaghan's Command will remain uncastable. And that's how we lost games. The other way we lost a game is game 1 against Twiddle Storm, where we kept a hand with removal in the dark, no discard effects, and we were against a all-in combo deck that plays no creatures whatsoever. So ultimately, I think the deck is great. I'm happy enough with the 3-2. I think it could have been better with a little bit better luck, but we also had our fair share of luck, I suppose, to win a mirror and also to beat Jund, which I think Jund might be the toughest matchup we faced, either that or blue-white Merfolk. I think Elves are capable of beating us, but our particular 75 has more game against Elves than is usual, I suppose. Elves may be a casualty of Auric Champion or Heliod in general in that way right now. The mirror is the mirror. The one other thing I'll say that I repeated throughout the league, Swifty was very impressive. She'll go on the thumbnail. I think she compared very favorably to how Hexdrinker would compare here, given our shell, given our matchups, given our progressions. That doesn't mean that she's strictly better. That doesn't even mean that she's better overall. But I think here she really shown, you can say that, look, there are really good incentives to play Swifty. We had an entire league full of them here. if anything, we were not really flooded. We were mono-screwed. Hexdrinker would have been really poor. Hexdrinker would have died to Renin 6. Hexdrinker would not have pressured them as well, and Hexdrinker would not have been as beautiful as the Swifty. The snake, not my particular taste, right? A handsome snake, but not for me. We gotta have the aesthetics of Monastery Swiftspear, and we've gotta get her warmed up, right? She's gotta stay in the loop, gotta stay in the game, because Boros Blitz is coming as well. Maybe I'll play that next. I'm still in talks with a donor about that one. We've got other donation leagues to play too, but this was our first one of the league, or of the new season. Hey, we cash it, we'll take it, right? It could have been better. I think I'm just a little bit, the only regret here is that we had a lot of lopsided stuff go on. We had some relatively lopsided gameplay given how long the league was. If the league is going to be this long, I want fewer lopsided games. If the games are going to be lopsided, I want the games to be quicker. We didn't really have that. Anything that was close took forever. And then there were also a lot of lopsided games mixed in. So not the platonic ideal of a league with result or with content, but overall, I think a good one and a good showcase for Swifty in the second best archetype in Modern right now. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Jonathan Poirier-Monet for your ongoing support. Really appreciate it, my friend, and for a really cool, fun list. I hope I did okay. I know I'm not a Shadow expert. I think overall I'm feeling okay about my play. There are infinitely debatable lines with this deck, right? It's just, you got the decision trees of mid-range, and then many more layered on top of that, with things like your life total involved, or your opponent's life total involved. It gets crazy, right? But hopefully we did this deck somewhat justice. So thank you again, Jonathan, and thank you once again to our newly returned or newly upgraded patrons, as the case may be. Danielle the Inquisitor, Michael going from Inquisitor to Tireless, and Stephen Mirabito going from Confidant to Of the Veil. Really appreciate each and every one of you guys, and all patrons as well. Thank you for watching, and shout out to our round one opponent as well, viewer of the channel. Good games well played, my friend. I will see you guys soon for more gameplay coming right up as soon as I can get to it. This one took up my day off, and the next time I have a day off, I'll play another league for you. We'll see what it will be, but there's another Jund Shadow in the queue. We got a couple Celestia Company decks in the queue, and also most likely a Boros Blitz deck, but that one a little bit still up in the air. In any case, I will see you hopefully for all of those. Give a thumbs up if you like this and if you want to see more. Talk to you later.